Once upon a time, in a land not so far away, lived the heroine of our story, Katrina the Frustrated. Katrina wasn't always frustrated. In fact, people used to call her Katrina the Cheerful. She was known throughout the land for her sunny disposition, and she loved her job as an HR manager. She loved it right up until the day her boss asked her to tame a dragon that was wreaking havoc in the kingdom. Okay, so maybe it wasn't a real dragon, but it was two very scary tasks. He asked Katrina to reduce vehicle insurance costs and employee turnover. So maybe she would have preferred dragon taming after all? Before we continue our tale, let's take a moment to get the lay of the land on our kingdom, otherwise known as Bob's Furniture Rental. Katrina's boss, Bob, owns 20 furniture rental stores across the country. And each location has a fleet of delivery vans and trucks that employ several delivery drivers. As you can see, the kingdom is quite extensive. Good for you, Bob. Okay, getting back to the heart of the dragon. Heart of the issue, that is. In several of Bob's stores, vehicle accidents were way up, which was sending his insurance rates through the roof. It was really freaking Bob out. As if that wasn't bad enough, new hires were quitting, some even before their background checks came back. Calm down, Bob. You remember what the doctor told you about managing your stress. So, these are the problems our heroine faced. Try as she might, she just couldn't seem to get a handle on them. And just as you would expect, everyone was full of advice on what she should do. Unfortunately, none of it helped. The rates continued to climb, and Bob continued to freak out about it. And that's when the clouds started rolling into the kingdom, blocking out the sun and turning Katrina the Cheerful into Katrina the Frustrated. But don't worry, our story doesn't end here. We're just getting into the good stuff. One day, Katrina meets a team of professional dragon experts. Okay, Bob, I know. They're not dragon experts, but anyway, you'll see. Let's hear what the ITN Fuel It team has to say.
Hi, I'm Dennis, Chief Mathematician and President of ITN.
And I'm Cindy Ogden, President of Fuel It. We work with the ITN team using the predictable performance process. This process involves 3 factors: precision hiring, targeted training, and a balanced environment.
Our teams help you to identify the root causes and issues, and then implement solutions that lead to reliable employee performance.
And so, when the ITN Fuel It team rode into the kingdom, they heard tales of Bob the Freaked Out and Katrina the Frustrated in her quest to tame the 2 very scary dragons. Or problems, if you really need to get technical about it. Geez. And the team thought, we can help. So, they sought out Katrina and explained their predictable performance process and how it could help. They showed her how to map out specific performance metrics related to the driver position and showed her how those metrics could impact the company's profitability. What's this? Thought Katrina. For the first time in a long time, she could see the sun peeking out from behind the clouds. And that's how Katrina's predictable performance process journey began. The team started by analyzing the delivery driver job description and conducting assessments at both good and poor performing locations. These key, job-specific performance metrics helped them identify what was needed to do the delivery job well. Then, they asked Katrina to show them any existing company policies and procedures for delivery driver performance. Katrina just shrugged and explained that since they only hire people with valid driver's licenses, they didn't think they were needed. The ITN Fuel It team had run across this misconception before, so they weren't worried. Again, they thought, we can help. Let's find out how.
So just as you saw, we began our journey with Katrina by doing an analysis of all of the attributes of employees at their locations. We then took our findings for these attributes and related them to their clearly established benchmarks. We also learned that the locations with the most vehicle accidents had delivery drivers that were lacking in some of these key attributes for success.
Katrina listened to the team's recommendations and was amazed. She quickly implemented the ITN precision hiring process to identify candidates with the right attributes, like experience, education, motivations, and skills that align with the performance metrics they identified. The team even provided automated tools based on the benchmarks that assigned numerical rankings based on the candidate's fit for the position, which means no more guesswork for Katrina when it comes to selecting the right candidate. As Katrina started interviewing and selecting using the new tools, her confidence in her new hires skyrocketed. They were a perfect fit. With the first factor of the process covered, the team then turned their attention to developing a targeted training plan to ensure that employees understand expectations and company standards and can demonstrate their ability to do the job. They took the skills they identified in the initial assessment and created an ongoing development program. They also created an onboarding checklist and orientation training to give all employees the same foundation, including a virtual reality tour of the company headquarters so that employees who work at different locations get a real sense of the company roots and culture. Now, all of Katrina's new employees feel like they are standing in the lobby talking to Bob. They also took their driver safety training into the virtual realm, where drivers could learn and practice in a safe environment. And because VR training engages the senses, employees retained much more of what they learned. Now, I know what you're thinking. Virtual reality sounds fantastic and we all want it, but cha-ching, right?
Actually, VR is much more affordable than you might think, and you don't even need special equipment. Here's an example of a targeted training schedule. It includes a full curriculum schedule mapping out every topic and task that must be trained, including the timeline and delivery of that training. Through the assessment of the company culture and organizational targets, we determine the right delivery method for each subject. That might include e-learning courses, on-the-job training with a mentor, self-paced assignments, and again, virtual simulations.
With targeted training in place, accidents started declining and so did Bob's freakouts. Katrina the frustrated was now Katrina the hopeful. There was just one more factor to address in the predictable performance process: the balanced environment, which means achieving a balance between what the drivers expect on the job and what they actually experience. This is a very important factor because an imbalance leads to poor performance. Katrina had seen this for herself earlier in the year. Michael was one of the company's best drivers. He demonstrated all of the qualities we mentioned earlier. He was patient and self-sacrificing, followed the rules, and had a strong safety attitude. He was a top performer. Then he transferred to a different branch with a new manager. At his old branch, if a problem happened with the delivery schedule, his manager Kim would show understanding and concern for the implications. They would work together to come up with a solution. He really appreciated her flexibility and willingness to be self-sacrificing like him. Kim's management style matched Michael's needs. She created the balanced environment that he expected. But all of that changed when Michael transferred. Michael's new manager, Brian, had a just-get-it-done attitude. He would only focus on the urgency of staying on schedule instead of trying to collaborate on solutions. Michael's morale took a nosedive in this new environment, and so did his performance. So, Katrina knew that the work environment was important, but she didn't know how to go about fixing it or how to get managers to change their approach based on employee needs. But fortunately, she had the ITN Fuel It team on her side.
So to better understand the workforce environment, we use an employee experience survey. The survey results provide us with specific guidance that can dramatically improve the team's communications and internal relationships.
With all three factors of the predictable performance process in place, accidents and turnover were shrinking throughout the kingdom of Bob's Furniture Rental. You might even say that 2 dragons were tamed. Bob was ecstatic. No more stressing and freaking out. He could finally relax like his doctor recommended. As for Katrina the Frustrated, she hit the road for good. Katrina the Cheerful was officially back, brightening up the kingdom with her sunny disposition. So now we'll happily end our story here. Back to you, Dennis and Cindy.
Be sure to stop by our booth at the expo for posted meetup times and some great raffle prizes.